All right, I guess you're already recording, so
Yeah, I like to get that bit in front. In front in the beginning. Yeah.
So you can make our very professional introductions.
Something like that.
All right.
Big podcast money.
Let's talk about this podcast.
Let's talk about that. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Let's talk about that. I'm your co-host Tony,
and I'm Martin.
You like that little anticipation there, Martin?
Yeah. Also, did you forget or what happened?
Gotta keep them on their toes.
Yeah. Sure. People guys. Yeah, listen to what I have to say. People know approximately where we live in the world. I mean, we've said it several times. I live in Kragerø, small town in Norway, or small. Depends on where you're from. If you're from New York, this is kind of a tiny town. If you're from Oslo, it's not that small. I mean, Oslo is not that big of a town, city, whatever. And you're from Minnesota and close to Minneapolis, I've figured.
Yep. One of the northern suburbs.
Yeah.
So
suburbs.
Anyway.
Suburbs. That's kind of the key to this episode. Because what is a suburb? And kind of most importantly, what's the difference between a city and town and like a village? What is the difference? What would you say is the difference between city and a town?
Oh gosh, I'm sure there's some official definition.
Yeah.
It's got to be some sort of population threshold, although I couldn't say what that threshold is.
Should we be professional or should we not?
I mean, I'm not sure what part of this whole thing going on made you think I'm professional, but but we could look it up.
With town and country, are people really that stupid? And city. The differences between towns and city, it's in general a place with more than 2,500 residents can be considered a city.
But good to know.
But what is then a village? Village is a small community in the rural area. A town is populated area with fixed boundaries. Okay, so a village is not kind of fixed with boundaries or like borders, but it's kind of just people live there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I would say I don't often hear the term village applied to anywhere, at least around here. It's village to me is a very European sounding term because I don't think I've ever really heard anyone really talk about an area like that. I mean, that being said, technically I live in an area that's called like St. Andrews Village, but it's not a village, it's just sort of a name for this sort of housing development, so it doesn't feel like we're really calling it a village. But talking about villages, I think of like the UK immediately. And
UK and the Middle Ages.
Oh, the village, are you in Newcastle upon Tyne?
Yeah. The next village over, and so I did some Google Translate stuff, and because we have like what we call city and town, I would translate to the same word, by. But if you have directly translated, we call it a dense place. Tettsted, I mean dense place, and that translates to town. But then again, I don't know village. It's that's a land town. It's Landsby. Well, but out of the we found the rules of this. I live in a city. I didn't know that. I would say Kragerø is a town, but whatever. Google is the boss. So I would say I live in the suburbs of Kragerø. That sounds really weird to say. That sounds really weird to say. Kragerø is, you have the center down by the sea, and then you have Helle, which is kind of a density place, and you have Sandal, which is density place. And I'm in the middle of Kragerø and Helle, in the middle of there. And I wouldn't say it's a suburb, but yeah, whatever. You live in the suburbs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And part of, so part of what excuse me, inspired this topic was something that you sent me, talking about sort of the American suburbs, because there's definitely like, there's a certain thing, I don't quite know how to describe it, that feels very suburban to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to do partially with, it has to do with a bunch of factors, but we definitely live in a very suburban place. We're, in our neighborhood is a very suburban feeling and looking neighborhood. We're on the outer ring of suburbs of the Twin Cities. So we've got the, Minneapolis, St. Paul. You've got the first ring suburbs, which are the ones that are sort of surrounding them, and then you've got the second ring suburbs on the outside of those. Yeah. And we're kind of on the outside of the second ring of suburbs.
Yeah. What would you call like when you're outside of those rings, that you call them? What would you call those outside there? I mean, people live there too. Is that
I guess kind of rural for the most part. Yeah. That's how, at least directly on the country, outside of the cities.
On the countryside.
The countryside. Yep.
Countryside. Yeah.
And Minnesota has a couple of other sort of big population areas.
Oh, so it's not only one city.
Yeah. You'd be forgiven. You
have Minnesota, and then you have that city in Minnesota, and that's it.
Yeah. The Twin Cities. And it's the Twin Cities, but who even remembers what both of them are, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we've got Duluth up, which is kind of a big one up by Lake Superior, which is our giant lake.
It sounds like a giant lake. It sounds superior, actually.
Yeah, it's right there in the name. I mean,
yeah.
But that's fun. And then we've got Rochester down to the south. But
yeah.
But yeah, this is the major population center in the state for sure.
Mm-hmm. But as you mentioned, the reason for this topic, I would ask you a question: how far do you have to drive to get to a proper grocery shop?
Well, it's pretty close actually. There's I think some of what was in that article kind of depends on the area. We're fairly close. There's one about 2 miles to the south of us. So.
And that's not too far.
Yeah, and actually the house we lived in before we moved into this house was also in a different suburb, and the grocery store was actually like a block away, and we used to walk there all the time. So
that's
it was
nice.
Really kind of convenient.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
It worked out nicely because for a long time our refrigerator was not working very well, so we didn't really want to keep anything in it. So it's just, you want to have tacos tonight? All right, I'll just walk to the store and get some, ground beef and stuff. And
yeah, nice. That's nice.
So,
here we have, I have 5 minutes over to that store, and I have 2 minutes to that store, and everything is quite close here. Mm-hmm. But of course, you could live in a place where it's like you have to drive 15 minutes to get there, and we do not have the roads you have. At least I don't think so. There is crooked roads with bad asphalt and 50, 70 kilometers per hour, and only one lane or 2 lanes going separately. Yeah. So the distances, if I drive 5 hours, I would get quite far because we have new roads now, but I wouldn't get too far inland. but you get quite far. I mean, distance, like, so the distances are quite quite yeah, the words just
it just we can get farther. I mean, we've got because we've got the super well paved highways where
quite
some
different.
of them and some of them you're going up to 70 miles an hour, and which I think is roughly
70 miles per hour is 112, 110 kilometers per hour. Yeah, that's the highest speed we have in Norway. Highest allowed speed on the roads. Yeah. In Denmark they have 130 kilometers per hour, and that would be like 80 miles.
Well, I think we've got some of those in as you get out of the cities and into the into greater Minnesota.
Yeah.
And then of course you get to Germany and you've got the Autobahn, right? Or the
Autobahn.
Autobahn. Yes.
Which is kind of the directly translated would be car road. Yeah.
Got it.
Or like the car track, or something like that.
But it's from what I've seen of your place. From what I've seen of where you live, it's interesting. You're probably in the suburbs of Kragerø, but it
perfect
looks
pronunciation. Perfect.
Thank you. I've heard you say it enough times now. I should hope I could do it.
Yeah.
Now, you're in Kragerø, right?
Yeah.
Sorry,
something like that.
Anyways, your at least patch of land strikes me as being sort of rural by my standards. Not to say that you're out in the countryside, but at least I mean, you've got this. I think part of it is you've got this sort of nice secluded patch of land, and it's in the American suburbs, at least, I think it has the what's the word? No, I can't speak either. It has the perception of being very open. Houses are close together. There's not a lot of separation in terms of
housing estate is residential field. Would call it if I translated it. We call it like house field. Yeah, residential field, where there is kind of this larger place of land with a lot of houses quite close to each other with their own gardens and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep. And we very much live in that sort of a suburb right now. I mean, if I was to open the window back there, I mean, there's another house that starts 15 feet to my right here, and just a big sort of kind of tract of grass going down the middle of the backyards of the houses, of us and the ones across the way.
Yeah. I mean, I have neighbors. There's one just down the hill and one I share the road with, and we have one over the main road, but that's kind of neighbors I have. That I would call neighbors, of course, because when you got to drive past that house, and I wouldn't call those neighbors when it's past the neighbor's house. But where my parents live, there is kind of Norwegian form of where you live, like you have the houses all around and the stuff like that. Yeah, and there is 3 or 4 larger residential fields around in Helle. Yeah, which is that's kind of funny. I don't know how the streets are named where you live, but we have there is kind of 3 hills or mountaintops or stuff like that, where they build lots of houses. And where my parents live, the streets are named after trees, different trees. You have pine, and you have hazel and stuff like that. And on the ones you have planets, and then you have animals. Yeah, so you have like the Fox Road, and you have the Jupiter path, stuff like that is called. Yeah, so it's I don't know how they're doing that in.
I mean, it's kind of all over the board here. With definitely the tree names are definitely a thing. I mean, my parents live on a road called Oak Grove Boulevard, so
yeah.
It's interesting because there's, I don't know how they came up with it. In sort of the Minneapolis and some of its suburbs, there's like a series of roads that are basically in alphabetical order. So you've got Aldrich followed by God, why am I?
Let's call it Brooklyn.
Bryant.
Okay. Yeah.
Aldrich, Bryant, Colfax, DuPont. And it goes on down all the way to
Alpha, Beta. Why couldn't they call it like that? Yeah. Strange.
Or go with the NATO phonetic alphabet.
Yeah. Why not?
But we have lots of trees. We have lots of president streets. I think like Washington is a very common street.
I mean, there is streets. We have a street in Kragerø called the Stabbers Alley. There was a man back in the day, the first black mailman in Kragerø. He was stabbed in that alley, so it's called Knife Stabbers Alley. From back then, we also have the Head Hill, which is a hill where the head rolled down. It said from when they did decapitation. Yeah, they called it like that, and it's just I don't know if they're still called that or just if that's on the common tongue or something. But yeah, interesting names.
Yes, yeah. I feel like with so much more colorful than
yeah,
Johnson Hill and whatever.
Yeah.
It's it may be slightly off topic, not that we ever do it, and it's probably a bigger issue than we can fully talk about in whatever small time we have remaining. You mentioned he was the first black mailman in
Kragerø. Yeah.
Okay.
He became kind of the male chief, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, he gained a high.
One thing that would be race would be an interesting thing to talk about at some point. It occurs to me. I mean, obviously, it's a difficult issue.
Yeah, race, and ethnicity would be awesome to talk about.
Yeah. Because it's fascinating. Cause
I heard now it sounded like I was huge racist, but I'm not. Clearly not. Definitely not.
No. Yeah. No. I get that. But
there is a lot to talk about by that topic. Indeed.
Yeah, but I am curious though. Like, is it pretty uncommon for you to see someone with non-white skin?
Nope.
In Kragerø?
Nope. There is. We have now the later years. It's been pretty much. I mean, we have all the Syrian refugees. There is a lot of them here, and stuff like that. And there is not uncommon to see from Africa or Brazil or stuff like that. I mean, now I mentioned a continent and a country, but I know someone from Brazil, and I know there is a lot from places like Somalia and that other country in Africa.
Both the countries in Africa.
Yeah.
Nigeria, probably.
There is, and some are refugees. Some have moved here. Some, and stuff. It's not uncommon to see. No, it's not.
Yeah, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, part of why it also comes up is the, at least in the United States, I think for a long time the suburbs were seen as a very white, part of a very white place to live.
Yeah.
That's still the case, I think, to some extent, although not nearly as much as it used to be. Because that was the whole sort of, impetus was everyone moving into the cities and all the wealthy white folk wanting to move out, and and so that's kind of how the suburbs started, at least in the United States.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I can figure it out. I mean, you have it's easier to get jobs in city and more expensive to move out. At least it was, I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, so the suburbs, we've decided that you live in the suburbs and I live in the rural area.
Yeah,
They had a
suburb.
TV show on the Norwegian national channel, or whatever you want to call it, that was called Where No One Would Believe Anyone Could Live. Directly translated as there typically would take like a car drive several hours, and then it would go by horse up this hill and then go by goat there and just had to take a boat over there, and then it came to the little house and then lived a guy. He was 258 years old and lived there. I mean, stuff like that. And out on the loneliest island, out on the wildest sea, he was living there, and or she, or yeah, stuff like that. And it just sees how at least the Norwegians have been able to put houses everywhere in the mountainsides and all that stuff. I mean, it's almost impossible to get up there, but you come up there and wow, it's a farm, at least an old farm, where they have cows, they have goats and chickens and stuff like that. It's sometimes it's interesting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. It is crazy. I mean, I'm sure there must be places like that here.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, US is huge. There should be places like that.
And humans are crazy, and we'll build houses anywhere. And
yeah, I like the view. I want to live here in the cave.
Yeah. Or I like the view. I'm going to rebuild my house after it floods every year. Like we talked about.
Something like that.
But yeah, it's takes all sorts, I guess. I wouldn't want to live so remotely.
No, I don't like having people close to me like that, but I also want to not have to drive or forever to get somewhere. So
yeah, absolutely.
But if you have been out to get coffee in the morning sometimes before we record this, and how far do you have to go? I mean, do you go to cafe or a Starbucks or something like that to get your coffee?
I go to I go to a Caribou, which is like a Starbucks essentially, but better. Starbucks is trash.
My experience too, without any commercials going on.
I think I've mentioned this before, but it's interesting if you look at a map by state of like the biggest coffee place by state. It is like half the country, like more than half the country, Starbucks is the biggest chain. For the other half of the country, it is Dunkin'. And then the only state that doesn't fall into one of those is Minnesota, where Caribou is our number one.
Yeah.
And Caribou has great coffee. Better. We have Dunkin' here. We have Starbucks here. If you want good coffee, Caribou is the place to go. You've heard it here.
Yeah. This is not a commercial, not any ads, or we do not get paid. Or maybe Tony does. I don't know.
But Caribou, if you're listening and you want to sponsor, send
a
little our way. No.
Open a shop in Kragerø. I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, how far would you have to drive to get there?
Well, it's actually in the same little shopping complex as the grocery store we go to, so it's just a little couple mile jaunt to the south.
I'm trying to kind of ask questions about the article I sent you, So if I was to buy one of the houses on your block, could I start my own business there? Would that be allowed? Like if I did some handyman work, could I start my own business there?
I think you could. So we live in the area we live. We're part of a homeowners association. which means that there are some things that aren't like city laws or anything that we have essentially agreed to also do. I think it's okay as long as your business doesn't increase traffic through the neighborhood, really. Like,
yeah, because that's dangerous for the kids and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, but as far as I know, I mean, if you wanted to start like a handyman business where you went out to people's houses, I don't think that would be an issue.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't fully understand how zoning works.
Yeah. I mean, here I could start whatever I want down in the garage or in my basement or whatever. Yeah. It's just to put your address on the company on your own house. It's not a problem. Not at all.
I would, I've never tried it. And I mean, clearly there must be some, we have zoning for a reason of like commercial and residential.
Yeah. There is restrictions, some restrictions there. Yeah. Could I start like a shop where I sell whatever?
I would think probably not. No.
Oh. That's interesting.
You need like a permit to have a business that sells things. I mean, you could probably get that permit, but I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say.
Yeah, it's tough to say. It's also different from area to area, I would guess.
Yeah. I mean, from like a purely like what's legal in the state standpoint, I'm not sure. Of course, like having a shop where you sold stuff out of would increase traffic through our neighborhood, so the HOA would come down on you. For that. But yeah, I mean, it's there is something like I think as it alluded to in the article, there is something that is you're trading you trade a little bit of freedom living in the suburbs, for nice lawn and neighborhood and stuff like that. Which I always said I wouldn't live in a place with an HOA, and then our first house was with an HOA, and then I said I'd never live in another place with an HOA, and now we're in another place with an HOA.
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons. I mean, if you move after the kids get older, you might do something else. It's very nice to have like someone to take care of your lawn and all that stuff. When you have small kids, you have to take care of the kids, and I mean, I use a lot of time to take care of the lawn and the road and everything, cut down trees here and some branches there. I use a lot of time that I could use on the kids. But yeah, so I see why you have it, but I could also see why you do not want it, kind of.
Yeah. Well, the place we lived before, the HOA was much less. It was a much less expensive, and B didn't really offer any of those sort of things. There was, we still had to mow our own lawns and plow our own driveways, and it was just there were just some sort of common areas that we paid a little bit per year to kind of maintain. Not like in this one where we pay. I think each month at this one we pay like twice what we paid for the whole year.
Yeah,
at our old one.
You do not need to own a lawnmower at all.
Yeah, it's nice. So we don't have a lawnmower. We don't have a snowblower. We have a shovel just in case we need it, but it's nice to have those services built in because I hated mowing the lawn. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a garden tractor, as I do, you probably like it.
That'd be different. If I could just ride around on a tractor and whatnot.
Yeah, it's quite fun, actually.
Yeah, well, I think it also there's like, I don't know, there's a weird pressure about like keeping your lawn nice.
Yeah,
and like
I guess I understand why that is. I mean, if you look at the window, how many lawns can you see? I guess you could see 10, 15 different lawns. If I look at the window, I could see 2 maybe, and they could not see mine because I'm on the top.
Yeah.
But the same as my parents, they live kind of on top, so they look down on people's houses. But you want to keep your garden or your front lawn or whatever you want to call it, at least somewhat maintained. because
Yeah, it's
not well overgrown, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely maintaining a lawn is tough, like to really keep it like super nice.
Without any moss
Um,
and stuff like that, it's hard. I don't care about that. I just cut it down so it looks
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah, it's like whatever. Got a little broadleaf over here, a little crabgrass here, whatever. It's
I
green,
don't
right?
care. Yeah, I don't care
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to have like carrots or cabbage or salads or something in your front lawn or backyard, or is that something you could do? Like put out some pallets with this, or just make kind of a vegetable or fruit garden? Could you do that? Is that
You would
allowed?
Yeah. Well, there's no law against it that I would be aware of. But in our situation, we'd probably need to get some sort of special approval from the homeowners association to do that.
Yeah.
On like a large scale. I mean, we've had sometimes we'll have some like big pots, that are a few feet around, and you can grow some stuff in those. We'll leave those out on our back patio and grow some tomatoes or some things like that. But having taking the big chunk of grass out though and having a garden there with vegetables, not as much.
I mean, my wife has this. There's something called a Euro pallet. I don't know if you guys have it. Probably not. They're universal pallets. There is this size, and you have like these frames you can put on top of them. And I think she stacked 2 or 3 on top, and then she has a lot of dirt in there, and she plants carrots and cucumbers and salads, onions, different stuff like that. And we tried potatoes and broccolis and stuff like that. It's really nice. It's not much. I mean, one pallet, I think it's 120 by, how large is your pallets?
That sounds like about 120. So 5 feet or so.
80 by 120. Yeah. 80 by 120. 80 centimeters to inches. That's 31.5 inch by.
Okay, so like 2.5 feet.
Yeah, by 47 inches. Yeah, so it's convenient size.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just.
And you just.
Yeah, I mean, we do not have the pallets. We just have the frames, and fill them with and fill them with food usable dirt and plants, different stuff there. It's really nice to have your own vegetables. Yeah,
I'd like to do more of that. Because
I mean, you could probably do that on your porch or your because it's not that big. I mean, like a little what's called greenhouse. A small greenhouse. You get those quite small where you can't walk in, but you can open it up and you get those small ones. At least here you do.
I'm sure they must be available. I don't.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know personally, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not into gardening, you wouldn't know. I'm not into gardening either. I just mow the lawn and cut the trees.
Yep. Yeah, no, we haven't done a lot of that sort of stuff. We've tried to plant tomatoes on a couple different occasions because we love tomatoes, fresh tomatoes in the summer.
Yeah.
It's
and you have so many different kinds of tomatoes. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm excited for it.
Yeah. We've drifted off topic. Kind of. I mean, we talked about the differences, what's allowed and what's not allowed, what's expected and all that. But I think we reach things that was important for the topic, or not important, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
related, or
It's okay. This is our podcast. We don't have to justify it.
No. Yeah, I think we reached the outer corners we wanted to. I mean, we could probably get closer into everything. One day, I would love to try to do some kind of a live stream thing where I did a walk around and talk to you guys while Tony maybe Tony took a walk too. That would be awesome. I mean, but I do not know how we could do that. I mean, of course I could. Of course we could do that, Tony. I mean, we could just walk around with our phones outside.
Yeah, I guess.
that could be done just to show you guys everything.
Yeah.
Do a walk. We could do that. I mean, I don't know about you, but I could really need a walk now and then, even though I walk.
Yeah.
But just to get some fresh air and moving the legs, good old legs. Yeah, maybe we should do that next time. We should see. I mean, it would be quite early for you, but the sun is up early, ain't it?
Yeah. Yeah, as long as it's not too cloudy, it'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the weather. When is the sun rising in Minnesota now?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you. Probably like 6 or something. Maybe
Let's say the
5:30.
sun. When do you think the sun is up here in Kragerø?
Let's see.
Tomorrow. This is the
I'll say what, 7 o'clock?
4 o'clock.
Oh, that's right. We're getting to that time of year, so you're
Yeah.
you're getting to the not fully light all the time, but getting darn close.
And the sun would go down by 10 o'clock. Yeah, so it's like 4, 5, 6 hours with the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
And it's only going to get less from here.
No, there is a bit more until the sun turns, as we say.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it's only going to get less darkness.
Less darkness, yeah. Unless
about a month from now it peaks. So
yeah, it's like you can see it out all night, and it's just like little bit dark, but not too dark. Yeah, It's nice.
Kind of like twilight or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no light pollutions here in the outer countryside. Yeah,
that'd be nice. Do some good stargazing.
Yeah. Is there a lot of light pollution where you live? Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, we live, Minneapolis, St. Paul are a pretty big couple, so we're at least out in the suburbs, but it's still get a fair amount. So. Oh, I know that look, and I know that time.
It was a head coming up and looking at me.
We probably need to start wrapping it up.
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking for almost 1.5 hours now, you and I.
Because of course we're recording episodes back to back, so.
Yeah, we do. We try to do two in one. Yeah, but that was the suburbs talk, guys. Yeah. Anything we like to say to people?
Just the normal, like, subscribe, comment, rate. Ring that notification bell.
Yeah, the notification bell to help the YouTube algorithm or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Download our podcast on whatever device you have. It helps us to spread the word. And yeah.
Absolutely.
Show us. Leave a comment down below. Send us an email and stuff like that. And we try to do something exciting for the next maybe, or not next, but maybe next there again. Sometime we will do something exciting, I guess.
But until then, we'll just be boring old us.
Yeah, boring old us. Yeah. Goodbye, folks.
See ya later.